Keith Urban, the unraveling of a country icon. Keith Urban's transformation has left those closest to him, and fans worldwide, searching for answers. For decades, he embodied consistency in country music, polished, dependable, and quietly strong. But recent shifts in his behavior, relationships, and sense of self have prompted questions no one anticipated asking. This isn't a story of collapse, but of profound change. And the truth driving that change runs deeper than most realize. Urban's transformation didn't start in 2025, or with recent headlines about his personal life. To understand his present, we must travel back decades, before the fame, before the addictions that nearly consumed him, before Nicole Kidman extended a lifeline he wasn't certain he deserved. Music entered his world at 4 when his parents gave him a ukulele, a modest gift that would quietly define his existence. At 5, a Johnny Cash concert planted a vision in his mind, a life built around performance, whatever the price. In Brisbane, surrounded by his father's love of country music, sound filled their home like oxygen. He picked up the guitar at 7, performed in bars and talent shows by 14, and abandoned school at 15 to pursue music full-time. Urban was forged by ambition, urgency, and the conviction that music was his only viable path, even if that path would eventually lead through darkness he couldn't yet foresee. Early rejection shaped him profoundly. At 9, he appeared on the Australian talent show Pot of Gold, where Judge Barnard King dismissed country music as mediocre. Urban clung to one positive word, intrinsically, which his mother explained meant he was a natural musician. But the sting of rejection lingered. At 16, he tried again on New Faces, performing Air Supply's All Out of Love, only to fail once more. The pressure to prove himself had already become central to his identity. By 1991, he released his first album in Australia. By 1992, he gambled everything on a move to Nashville. Those early years weren't the dream he'd imagined. He spent nights in a battered van with his band, The Ranch, playing to audiences of 3, wrestling with disappointment and isolation in an industry indifferent to easing his path. The band dissolved after their 1997 album, but the real turning point came quietly. Nashville introduced him to cocaine. By the early 2000s, Urban had become one of country music's most celebrated new voices. Albums climbed the charts, his songwriting matured, and the industry embraced him as a rising force. But behind the charm and effortless talent, Urban was quietly battling demons from his past. Pressure, loneliness, insecurities carried from childhood into fame. His first rehab stay in 1998 interrupted the cycle, but didn't resolve its roots. Everything shifted in 2005 when he met Nicole Kidman at the G-Day USA Gala in Los Angeles. Their connection was instant and profound. She was one of the world's most recognizable actresses. He was the Australian-born country star, redefining his genre. Together, they seemed unstoppable. They married in June 2006 in a star-studded Sydney ceremony. For Urban, meeting Kidman felt like the beginning of a new life where he could finally outrun his past. But addiction doesn't surrender to romance. 4 months into their marriage, Urban relapsed. As drinking escalated and cocaine re-entered his life, the strain became impossible to hide. Losing control in front of the person he loved most forced him to confront a truth he'd spent years denying. He was not well, and he couldn't fix this alone. Kidman noticed the signs and intervened, gathering a small circle of trusted people for a stage intervention delivered with calm, unwavering resolve. It wasn't anger or ultimatum. It was love delivered with urgency, a lifeline disguised as a boundary. Urban later admitted this was the moment he realized he stood at his final crossroads. He checked into the Betty Ford, sent her in October 2006, canceling appearances and entering a fight not against fame or pressure, but against himself. He emerged in January 2007, sober, humbled, and aware that survival required total honesty and complete commitment. After leaving Betty Ford, Urban entered the longest and most disciplined chapter of his career. Sobriety wasn't a temporary pause in chaos. It became the organizing principle of his life, shaping his decisions, relationships, and artistry. His music evolved first. Albums released after 2007 carried the emotional weight of someone rebuilding from within. Get Closer, 2010, Fuse, 2013, Ripcord, 2016, Graffiti, You, 2018. He blended country with pop, rock, and electronic influences, pushing boundaries while his lyrics grew more personal and reflective, tethered to the clarity sobriety provided. Television revealed a new dimension. His role as coach on The Voice Australia in 2011 showcased his gentle, encouraging nature. He joined American Idol in 2012, remaining the calm center amid the famous tension between Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey. He returned as mentor for the 2023 revival. Television didn't make him a celebrity, it made him human. Fans saw kindness, openness, and emotional presence, qualities that don't always survive in entertainment. His mentorship reflected deeper understanding. He knew what it meant to fall apart, rebuild, and stand again. Yet stability is rarely permanent. While sobriety remained intact, pressures from fame, family, and personal history still existed beneath the surface. He poured himself into work, albums, tours, a Las Vegas residency, perhaps because stillness had always been dangerous. His tattooed arms and toned physique showed discipline. His face, marked by age but sharpened by experience, revealed someone who'd earned both triumph and pain. Urban survived addiction, endured brutal early years, rebuilt through love, and maintained sobriety for nearly 2 decades. But even the strongest, foundations can fracture from pressures that come not from substances but from time, expectation, and the weight of a life lived in full public view. By 2025, he faced a different crisis, one fueled not by relapse but by transformation, frustration, and emotional distance even he struggled to explain. The first signs were subtle. In January 2025, reports indicated Urban had abruptly fired multiple longtime band members, some who'd played beside him for over 25 years. The dismissals came without warning or explanation, shocking fans and insiders who saw it as the first undeniable sign that something had changed. Then came the marriage. For nearly 2 decades, Urban and Kidman had been one of Hollywood's most admired couples, built on devotion and mutual protection. They raised 2 daughters, supported each other's careers, and weathered addiction, fame, and scrutiny. To many, their marriage looked unshakable. But in 2025, it ended. Reports described the breakup as one-sided. Kidman wanted to save the marriage. Urban wanted out. After 19 years, the partnership that once saved him fractured in a way no one expected. Unlike past difficulties, this came with silence, distance, and unsettling finality. Urban also began altering lyrics in beloved songs, including those written for Kidman, choices that left audiences confused and commentators speculating. These weren't playful improvisations, but pointed shifts that felt darker, more detached, fueling perceptions of a midlife reckoning. Even professionally, cracks showed. The warmth remained, but beneath it lay a new guardedness, a restlessness, a sense of searching for something he couldn't name. It wasn't addiction or arrogance. It was exhaustion from decades of holding himself together for everyone else. For someone who'd chased perfection since age 7 and spent adulthood fighting invisible demons, 2025 marked the year when internal conflict finally spilled into public view. Urban's transformation didn't happen in isolation. Fame had always been both blessing and burden, but by 2025, constant visibility became harder to bear. The world followed his marriage, sobriety, career, and fatherhood. Every success was amplified, but so were the cracks. A turning point came in 2013 when Kidman was knocked down by a paparazzo on a bicycle in New York. Though physically unharmed, the incident shook her. Urban, learning what happened, made a rare public plea for basic human respect, revealing the toll constant surveillance had taken on his family. From that point forward, he became more guarded in interviews, quicker to cut off invasive questions, more protective of the life he'd built. A famous radio interview, which he abruptly ended when asked how he felt watching Kidman's intimate film scenes, showed how thin the line had become between curiosity and disrespect. Even as he protected his family from external pressures, internal ones mounted. His residency, massive tours, televised roles, and creative output kept him in constant cycles of performing and delivering. To the public, he appeared limitless. But maintaining that image required unsustainable energy. By 2025, the emotional strain was unmistakable. Friends and insiders noted subtle but undeniable changes. Moments of withdrawal, flashes of impatience, abrupt decisions. The firing of longtime band members wasn't just managerial, it was symptomatic of deeper unrest, a search for control when other life aspects felt uncertain. He'd spent decades rebuilding after addiction, strengthening his marriage, raising children, and navigating extraordinary career highs and crushing lows. He became the picture of resilience and transformation. But resilience has limits, stability has limits, even healing has limits. Keith Urban's journey has always been shaped by resilience, but 2025 marked a turning point unlike any before. His transformation is complex, emotional, and still unfolding. Fans are watching closely to see what version of Keith emerges next.